Welcome to Wangs. Today we are going to talk about resale hunting in Singapore, in particular HDB flats, because most of the Singapore residents live in HDB. Resale hunting might sound daunting at first, but there are only three main steps. Number 1, have a budget. Number 2, source for the house. And lastly, number 3, complete paperwork. If you don't have a budget, that means you can't have a target. You also need to know, is it a seller or buyer's market? Are the properties selling like hotcakes? How far are you willing to stretch your budget? Or do you have a very good game plan, even to the extent of bargaining to the price you would like? Your HDB budget will only be made up of cash, ordinary CPF, grants, and loan. The cash portion is straightforward. It is how much money you are willing to take out from your bank. Do also consider other expenses such as renovation that you might be doing, and also buying of new furnitures. For Singapore residents, you would know what CPF is, and you could actually log on to the portal to check what is in your ordinary CPF, which can be used for your house. Then we will explore a little bit about grants and loans to give us a picture of how much we have to spend on our HDB flats. Let's talk about grants first. Perhaps the most interesting grant is the EHG, which is based on your monthly household income. The more money your household earns, the less EHG you will get. And if you earn more than 9,000, there won't be any EHG. Do take note that the example we'll be using later is based on a household income of 6,000 and their EHG is 35,000. Next, I'm going to walk you through this very useful HDB budget calculator on its website. Key in your CPF savings from your ordinary account. If you're buying a very old flat that doesn't last you until you're age 95, your CPF savings will be prorated. Next, key in the cash savings you have. You can check the CPF website to determine the amount in your OA, ordinary account, assuming we have 60,000 and 30,000 cash. Click the Add Buyer if you're buying as a couple, wife and husband. Here, Buyer 2 pops up. Also key in your CPF savings and cash savings. So the available funds right now is 120,000. This 120,000 is from CPF and cash. Next, let's see how much grant we can get. This is a resale flat. We're buying as a family. The flat type, let's put it 4-room. CPF housing grant as a Singaporean and Singaporean couple, please select 50,000. Buying a 5-room or bigger, the grant will be 40,000. If you are a Singaporean and PR couple, you get 10,000 less grant. If you are a Singaporean and non-citizen couple, you get a singles grant, which is basically half. Next up, the EHG. As mentioned earlier, this sample of a 6,000 household income will get 35,000 in grant. Lastly is the proximity housing grant. If you're lucky to find a flat near your parents, you can use this grant. The distance between the two postal codes shouldn't be more than 4 kilometers. Just like this, we'll be getting 115,000 in grant. Together with the CPF and cash savings earlier, we will have 235,000. Is that enough for a 4-room HDB resale flat? Very unlikely. And that means we need to get a loan. I shall select this option as a first-time flat owner, getting a HDB loan. Next, the budget calculator will prompt some more details of yourself, key in the age, monthly income, and any financial commitment that you might have, such as other loans, car loans. We are going to assume 0 here. The number of occupiers is not so important for your budget. Let's review the form a little bit here. If we scroll up, you might see that the funds is already 235,000, like I mentioned earlier, pending our loan. HDB loan is at 2.6% interest. And here we see our estimated loan amount. Wow, that's nearly 400,000. Let's assume we are going to loan the maximum amount possible. And then we're gonna scroll up a little bit and then we can see our full budget. There we go. About 631,000. Do ensure not to overstretch your budget. As you can see here, the monthly payment is nearly 2,000 and the interest adds up to quite a bit. For those of you who's getting a really old HDB flat that doesn't serve you up to 95 years old, you might want to hop on to the CPF website to check out how much OA you can use. There's a too long didn't read summary on down payment at MoneySmart. It compares HDB loan and bank loan. Since we are looking at resale flat, down payment for HDB loan right now is 15%, of which it can come from CPF or cash. Down payment of a bank loan is higher, of which 5% must be from cash. The example given for a 400,000 flat, the HDB loan would be 15% and 60,000. I think there's a slight calculation error on the CPF portion of the bank loan. The last step of our budgeting is to get the HLE from HDB. It will tell you how much loan HDB is willing to give you, or a letter of approval for bank loans. With an HLE or a bank letter, we can finally get to the exciting part, to find a house. I think the top consideration on our minds is the price. Websites such as Property Guru and 99Co will give us all the information we need. I kind of like Own My Home, as sometimes you can deal directly with buyers and sellers. The next HDB website that I'm going to show is a must-have. This website, as you can see, gives you the age of your flat and the surrounding transactions. Part 2. Know your surroundings by walking the ground and looking at the floor plan. You want to be looking at the block itself. How many lifts are there? How many units are there in each level? Does the floor plan look funny? Is there wastage of space, such as awkward corners? Or is it squarish and spacious? Do you have unblocked views? Is it windy? How are the neighbors? How is the corridor? And finally, going into the house and experience it and talking to the seller. The third point may be quite important to you, the potential. Have you seen the master plan of the developments around? Look at the news. If you are going to work from home quite often, do you want to have fighter jets around? Have you checked out the upcoming MRT lines? Are the exits near your house? If all is well, you might even want to do an inspection on the house you just visited. This could help give you a sense of how much renovation you would like to do. The last step to resale hunting is to complete your paperwork. If you have reached this step, congratulations, you're almost there. Sign the option to purchase OTP with your seller. Usually you have to put down $1,000. This means that if you change your mind and don't want to buy the unit anymore, you'll forfeit this $1,000. And it also means that the seller cannot sell this apartment to anybody else other than you in this period of 21 days. Just sign it and transfer $1,000. Here are the initial steps with timeline. You get your OTP and then request for valuation. After you get your valuation, you may exercise the OTP by transferring a $4,000. Now your OTP is binding and you can submit it to HDB. This $5,000 will form part of the cost of your flat. It is not an additional cost, but you do have to prepare for your stamp duties, which will cost about $10,000 for a 400,000 something flat. If your spouse is a foreigner, only you can be the owner of the flat. The seller has made a private request with you to extend their stay for whatever reason. You may select NA for this option when completing your HDB submission. After sellers and buyers have both submitted the application to HDB, the remaining steps would be easy. You can rest, take a break, or even look for renovation companies. Look out for HDB updates. They will tell you what to do, like to buy fire insurance. For this case, it took about 3 months from the date of OTP to the date of HDB resale completion. Also prepare a cashier's order if you need to pay any cash portion in the event that your CPF doesn't have enough money or that the cost of your flat is more expensive than the valuation from HDB. And wait for the big day of going down to the HDB hub at Toa Payoh to collect the keys from the sellers. Now you are a proud owner of a HDB resale flat. And also the great responsibilities that comes along with it. See you next time.